We're live in the Facebook group, the Chicago Wholesale Dealer. We'll get started in a minute. We're going to be going over today two strategies that we use to pick up Airbnbs with no cash, no credit, and how you can do it too. So that's today's topic. We're going to get started here. If you're just joining the Facebook group, we have over 120 plus trainings that you can watch for free. So all of our training you can watch free. Just go to the guide section or go to the feature section for the most recent. Guides will start with the most oldest. Over 4 years of training every week. So pretty much go over everything on how to flip and cash flow houses using our 5 offer system without cash, without getting into debt, and ton of training in there. So we're gonna get started here. So if you are in Chicago market looking for deals, join our buyers list, bestchicagoWholesaleDeal.com/buyers. We send a couple new deals out every week in the Chicago market. We are in different markets as well. So contact us, let us know maybe we're in that market that you're in. If you need a buyer for your deal, you can submit it to us. We can take a look at it, see if the numbers work. You can email it to us here, Russell@bestchicagoWholesaleDeal.com. Maybe you have a deal under contract that you're trying to sell. Maybe you own a property. You can send it to us. We can take a look. And free training, if you haven't been through our free training on our 5 offer system, go check it out at KingdomREIAcademy.com. Learn our 5 offer system on how we're flipping cash flowing houses without cash or credit using Kingdom principles. How I was able to pay off $10 million worth of debt over the course of about 4.5 years. I think it was about 4.5 years. I was able to pay off 10 million in debt using these strategies. And we're still closing deals every week using the same strategies that we train here. So KingdomREIAcademy.com. Go there and check it out. If you can learn how to flip and cash flow houses without cash or credit, guess what? You can do as many deals as you want. So it doesn't matter, your credit doesn't matter how much cash you have in the bank. So today we're talking about the 2 strategies that we use to are picking up Airbnbs without getting into debt. How we're picking up cash flowing houses, rent to owns, or they could be Airbnbs. Then we're going to go over how we're finding them, how we're analyzing them, how we are profiting them. So we're going to go over that today. So the first strategy that we use is a sandwich. It's called a sandwich rent to own. So if you ever rented a house before, what that is just a rental agreement with an option to purchase. And if you ever rented a house before, if the owner agreed to sell the house to you with an option agreement, while you're renting it, then that would be considered a rent to own. And the reason we call it a sandwich rent to own is like when you stay in the middle of the deal, when there's maybe you negotiated 50,000 in equity, maybe you negotiated 500 in cash flow a month from market rent. So those type of deals, you stay in the middle. So sandwich rent to owns are great because once we have it, the contract signed and we have agreement for 3 years or 2 years, or we've even done some for 7 years or more. You can do what an owner can do. You can sell the house, just put it on the market for sale. You can rent to own it to somebody else, which is what a true sandwich rent to own is. You just turn around and rent it, own it at a higher price, higher rent. Or you can turn around and furnish it and turn it into your own Airbnb. And I did put the Zoom link if anyone wants to chat live on the Zoom. You can join the Zoom. So where to find landlords? It's very simple. We're finding landlords to do Airbnbs via Zillow for rent, Craigslist for rent, Facebook Marketplace for rent. So it's very easy to find. There's thousands and thousands of landlords trying to rent their properties, and we're just contacting them, right? So you can find landlords, and then we find Airbnbs through our normal marketing. We do a lot of marketing to distressed lists like tax delinquents, pre-foreclosure, We do marketing to vacant homes. We do marketing to absentee owners. We even do even for sale by owners could turn into a rent to owner Airbnb. So we do it through our normal marketing channels, just our normal everyday marketing. And every lead that comes in, we just put them through the funnel and we just figure out what's the best offer for their situation. And what's good about these deals, it doesn't a lot of times it doesn't matter what they owe on it. They could owe as much as it's worth, and we can still turn around and make a profit. How to analyze the deals. So I'm gonna get into that really quick. So sandwich rent to owns, you just want to you do want to become a master at getting after rehab value. And then if you watch my previous trainings, I teach on how to get after rehab value. So with a sandwich rent to own, I do this a lot. I've done this a lot in previous trainings. You're creating a spread, so you just got to think. There's the price of the home, there's the rent, there's the down payment, there's the term for how long, and then you're trying to create a spread. There's the retail value of what it's worth today. There's you, and then there's the owner. So let's say the deal that we did not too long ago in Skokie. Let's just do that deal. We had a price of $225 that the owner wanted. Then the ARV was around $260. So retail. So right there, we created a $35,000 spread with the owner. So we found out the retail value by getting the after rehab value. I'm not going to go into that in this training. If you go into my previous trainings on how to get the wholesale offer, I go into deep dive on how to get the ARV. Let's say market rent is $2,500 a month on this deal, and then we got it for $2,000 a month. So you have a $500 monthly cash flow, right? And then down payment, we agreed to 2 months rent, so $4,000 down. And then when we find and try to get a retail buyer, we typically try to get like 3% to 5% down. So if we're trying to rent own to someone else, so 260, times 5%, you're looking at 13,000. You can get up to 13,000 down. So this could be a $9,000 down payment in the spread up front. And then the terms, the longer the better. The longer you get the term, the better. So we can get, we got a 3-year term. And then if I sell it to someone on a rent to own, I'm going to sell it for maybe on a 1-year or maybe 2-year term. So it gives me time to, more time to find another buyer or refinance or sell it or do what I want with it, right? And there's a couple other things with rent to owns that you can negotiate, like credit, like the rent credit. So how much of the monthly $2,000 a month goes towards a purchase? I can, for example, this deal we negotiated 10%, but I mean this is negotiable. You can get it up to like 50%. I had some members got up to like 100% rent credit. So if you can get 100% rent credit, it's like a 0% interest loan. This is negotiable. And then the repairs are the last thing to negotiate. So typically we'll offer to pay $300 per month in repairs. So anything over that, the owner takes care of. And if we sold this on a sandwich rent to own, we would turn around and have them take care of that $300 per month. So we're taking care of 0, right? So if I were to sell this, get a rent to own here and then find a buyer over here and do a sandwich rent to own, these are the numbers I would sell for, right? And then if once we lock this deal up at these prices, you have options. I can just sell it. So as soon as I got the contract signed, I can put it on the MLS for sale and just leave it vacant and just try to cash out on my 35 grand equity. I can rent it normally to a normal renter. So let's say I just want to make 500 a month and that's it. I probably wouldn't recommend that on this deal. Then you could rent to own it to someone else, which would be these numbers here. So let's say I rent to own it to someone else. On this deal, I could end up making let's say 500 times 24 months. That's 12,000 right here in the rent. And if I got a rent credit at 10%, that's 200 a month times 24. That's another 4,800. So we're just going to add up the profit. If you were to successfully find a rent to own buyer, and then they ended up that rent to own buyer ended up purchasing the home and buying you out, you would end up with 35,000 profit in equity, 12,000 a month in cash flow, 4,800 in the rent credit, 9,000 in down payment. So this deal will end up with 60,800 in profit. And this deal, zero down. You didn't come out of pocket with any money because look, the rent to own buyer put the 13 grand down and you collected the spread, right? So you made 9,000 and then you turned around and gave the owner their 4,000 they wanted. And then boom, you came out of pocket with zero and you created this spread, right? And how do we make sure the tenant buyer gets through the process of getting the loan? We connect them with a loan officer that makes sure that they can get the loan. They follow up with them every month or so to make sure they're doing what they need to do in order to get the loan closed, right? Another thing you can do as well is you can turn it into an Airbnb, and the deal in Skokie, that's what we did. We turned it into Airbnb. And you can also list it at the same time. So another strategy is doing both. List it and then Airbnb at the same time. It's for sale on the market. If it doesn't sell, it's cash flowing, making a couple thousand a month. So this deal, how we analyze it on Airbnb, you go into Airbnb itself, and then you're going to pretend you're a guest, right? So you take the property, the address, the location. So you're going to type in maybe the zip code or the city, if it's a smaller city. So let's say it's in Skokie, Illinois. I'm going to type in Skokie, and then I'm going to search. And then you're going to filter by the type of property, right? So let's say your home's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and it's a entire house. You just select house, right? And you just hit show. There's 583 listings there. So it looks like they, of course they do allow Airbnb. There's so many listings there. And what I would do is zoom in until I find the location. So let's say the property is located right here where the black dot is. I'm gonna try to zoom in as close as I can and get 3, 4, 5 comps that are similar, right? So these are only 1-bedroom. They're filtered by 3. Why isn't it filtered? 3-bed, 2-bath. I want the house. So it didn't filter. So I'm gonna zoom out. So I'm probably so right there's already 12. So you want to get as close as you can to the property. And then you're gonna go and get 4 or 5 highest comps. 4 or 5 comps that are similar. So 3-bedroom, make sure that they're similar beds, similar size. Then you want ones with a lot of reviews. Like this one has 25, this one has 40. I don't want ones with no reviews or a little bit, because they're probably brand new, so they're not established yet. So I'm probably gonna go here. It's a 3-bedroom. This has 4 beds, but it might be a 3-bedroom. And then maybe I'm gonna pick this one too. It's a 3-bedroom. So I would look at all these comps here and see which one is most similar to my property, and it has a lot of reviews. And then what we're going to do is go into 3 of them, 4 of them, and you're going to go into their calendar, and you're going to figure out the nightly rate. So you're going to go to August, September, October, November for maybe go 6 months out, and then try to figure out their nightly rate on what they're getting. And then you can also see how in demand they are, right? Like look at July. They're all booked. August is almost half booked. So then you're gonna write it down. So August 245 a night, September, whatever that is, 300 a night. And then you're gonna do that for each property, and then you're gonna get the averages. So you're gonna get the average nightly rate. So you can see here how booked they are. For August, he's pretty open. And then write it down, right? Jot down the average nightly rate, and then let's say you get 3 or 4 of them, and you realize, hey, the average nightly rate when I average them all out, all the 4 comps they're getting $250 a night, right? And it looks like they're so occupancy with Airbnb, we typically get about 60% occupied, like 20 nights out of the month. So we multiply that by 20. So this property is going to get 5,000 a month. So 5K a month on Airbnb. And I'm going pretty fast. So you want to kind of look at everyone closely and make sure these properties are similar, right? Like if one has some kind of big pool or something and yours doesn't, you probably don't want to use that one. So you want to find comps, look at the pictures, make sure they're very similar in beds and bath and size. But let's say this property gets $5,000 a month in profit, and look at that. So if I'm paying the owner $2,000 and I'm making $5,000. So the profit on this could be, $3K a month per month, right? On Airbnb. Then you got to factor in things like, you got to pay utilities, electric, gas, Wi-Fi, you got to pay, if you have to pay the water bill. So let's say you factor in, $500 a month for utilities. So now you're minus 500. So now your profit is 2,500 per month. And I'm doing it really simple here. But 2,500 a month, is this worth it, right? So to do an Airbnb, you got to invest in furniture, you got to invest in the down payment, you got to pay 4,000 down plus furniture costs, right? So let's say I have to invest $10,000 total with furniture and down payment. So that's going to be first year you're going to make 7,500, right? So if you got a 3-year term on this, so we have 2,500 times 2 years, that's 60,000 plus 10 plus 7,500 for the first year minus the furniture cost. So you'll end up with 67. Good, if you do this for 3 years, you can end up with 67,500 on Airbnb. Plus, you have the equity, right? So let's say 3 years go by and then it went up to 290, 280. Guess what? You can cash out on that, right? So you get the appreciation if this goes up. If this price goes up, you get the appreciation, right? So 35. So let's say it didn't go up at all. There was no appreciation. It was as is. So 67,000 plus 35,000, 102. So this might make sense for you to invest the 10 grand, right? So if you said, hey, you can make 60,000 in 2 years without any money out of pocket, or you could potentially make, if you invest 10 grand into down payment and furniture costs, you could potentially make 102. I think, I would take that risk here with 102 and put it on Airbnb and then turn around. Because what you could always do if Airbnb, let's say something happened in that area, Airbnb is not working anymore, you can stop the Airbnb and then you can do the sandwich rent to own still and, end up making this 60,000 still. So if Airbnb isn't working for that property, you can stop it and then you can still turn around and get a sandwich rent to own buyer as long as you're still within your 3-year term over here, right? So I know that's a lot, but if there's any questions, let me know. But this is so this is how this is how we analyze deals. So if we get a sandwich rent to own, I'm determining, hey, am I going to just sell this thing, put it on the market and just sell it? And you got to determine, hey, do I have this investment too, right? If you don't have the 10 grand to invest, then you may try to help partner up with someone that does. We do partnerships with our members, and I would upfront the money if the deal makes sense. So if the numbers look like this, like where we can make 100,000, definitely I would upfront the furniture cost, the down payment and everything, to do the deal. Typically, I never just rent it. You either do sandwich rent to own, you sell it, or you turn it into an Airbnb. But this deal, like these numbers, I would definitely invest a 10K investment and turn that 10K investment into 102. But one thing is that this 35 grand, like I said, in 3 years, this can go up to 280, 290 with appreciation. Maybe it only goes up maybe it goes up even higher than that. So this 35 now turns into 50, right? So if you sell it rent to own right away, you selling it at this price. So you're not, you could factor in appreciation, sell a little bit higher, but typically we lock in the price when we sell it sandwich rent to own. So usually this profit is locked in. So that's something you may consider, like, hey, I want to do Airbnb so I can really get the upside appreciation on it, right? So that's how we analyze the deal. That's how we make the offer, and how we present ourselves on these deals is, hey, we like to rent properties for a few years and eventually purchase it down the line. So we are actually like the buyer that's staying in the middle, and we present ourselves as, the buyer that stays in the middle of the deal. We're either gonna, and we tell the seller the truth, like we're investors, we're trying to make a profit. The only way we stay in the middle of the deal is we can get some equity, we can get some cash flow, maybe we can turn it into an Airbnb, and we're just very upfront and honest, and let the seller know exactly what we're doing. Like, we're gonna do the rent to own, and what we're going to do is turn around, furnish it, and then turn it into Airbnb. We're going to risk, investing money and turn. So whenever you're talking to the owner, we're just very upfront. We tell them exactly what we're doing, and in the contracts, it says that we can sell it, we can put it on Airbnb, we can do a sandwich rent to own, any of that, right? And how we make a profit, I just showed you that. And where to find these deals? Simply, you can start calling landlords on Zillow, for rent sections today, right? Like today, you can start calling. If you presented, let's say you don't have the 10 grand to invest, right? To invest in this deal. But if you presented any smart investor this deal saying, hey, I analyzed, we can make $102,000 in the next 3 years on this deal, potentially, I just need a $10,000 investment. Most investors, and then you just, work out an equity split. Like, hey, you put up the money, I put up the deal, I'll give you 20% of the profit and I keep 80%, right? So you can negotiate with whoever's putting up the money, right, to invest. What we do with our members is like, hey, if I see the deal like this, guess what? You have the 10,000. Like we're going to invest the 10,000 for sure and do the deal, right? So our members definitely have our backing. Like, hey, well, like right now we're doing Airbnb where we're paying for some plumbing repairs and furnishing property, and we're going to turn around and then Airbnb it. So we are investing some money and then turning around Airbnb, and hopefully we're going to make 500 to 1,000 a month in cash flow for our fee. So don't worry about the money if you don't have it. Like I said, any smart investor will invest it. Or maybe this is your strategy with the sandwich rent to own. You don't want to invest anything, no risk, then go this route here, right? So again, when you're talking to owners, you're presenting yourself as, hey, we're a company and we're looking to rent properties for a few years and eventually purchase them down the line. Is that something you're open to? These owners are already saying they want to rent their home, so they're already agreeing. Since they have the property on the market for rent, they're already telling everybody, hey, for the next 12 months, you can control my property for $1,500, right, per month. And you just have to get them to agree to give you a option to purchase within that time frame that they agree to. So if you can get an option agreement, you basically say, hey, you already want to rent it. The next thing is, are you willing to sell? So are you willing, like if we agreed on a price today, would you be willing to sell your property, right? And give us an option to purchase it within the next 2 years, 3 years, right? And another things you can do to get the contract signed are appreciation to the owner. So like if you have a good spread already, you can do something like, hey, I'll give the owner a 3% appreciation in the price every year, right? And then I'll give him a 3% appreciation in the rent every year. So if that's something that's holding up the owner where he's like, oh, I want appreciation. What if it goes up 100 grand? Like you can negotiate this percentage, it can be 5%, it can be whatever you negotiate, right? So if an owner's stuck on that and he doesn't want to get locked into the price, then give him a percentage of increase every year so that you can, get a longer term increase, right? And this is all give and take, right? Like if the owner wants full price, guess what? I'm gonna try to get the rent down lower. If the owner wants a higher down payment, guess what? I'm gonna try and get the purchase price lower. So if where you agree with the owner, try to get them down on something else, right? Like I said, I had people do like 100% rent credit. So if you can get 100% rent credit or even 50%, I mean, that's like 100 times better than getting a loan, right? 100% rent credit is a 0% interest loan. So every time every time you pay 2,000 a month, it goes towards the principal, right? So this 4,800 could be a profit more of 20,000 or more, because you're paying principal down, right? And how to make a profit on Airbnb is basically you got to list it on Airbnb, and with Airbnb, you just have to have a team. You have a team of cleaners, a team of handymen that need to repair the property when it's needed, a team of that we use VAs that communicate with the guests. I did a training not too long ago. I went over pretty much all the tools that we use for Airbnb, how to outsource everything. So if you go in the Facebook group, go to what was the training on June 19th, right here. I pretty much go over every single tool we use, like softwares and AI technology we use to automate everything. So watch that, because I go into deep dive on that. I even give you I believe the furniture company we use. We use a Court Furniture Outlet. So Court Furniture Outlet is they rent furniture and then they get it back, and then what they do is they refurbish the furniture. So you can get brand new looking furniture for half the price. It's used, but it looks brand new and everything works perfectly. But you can get like brand new looking furniture for half the price, and they'll actually deliver it to the house, set it up, put it where you want it. So most of the Airbnbs we're doing is we have Court deliver it. They set up the tables, the chairs, everything that we need, the beds, and then they pretty much are delivering all the heavy items, right? The couches, everything that's heavy, pretty much we get from them, because they deliver it, they set it up, and it's half the price that you would go pay in a retail market. So Airbnb, how to profit again, you got to list it on Airbnb. You got to make sure the village, wherever the village is, that they allow it. So you got to research, you got to type, village of, let's say, Elmwood Park, Illinois. Do they allow Airbnb? And then you got to do your research and find out, right? Because if a city banned it, it's going to be on the news and it's going to be on Google. So if a city banned it already, it's going to be out there, right? So if you guys have any questions, let me know. These are two. So the second strategy, I don't even touch that. So sorry about that. So second strategy is Airbnb management. What Airbnb management is, so first strategy to get Airbnbs is sandwich rent to own. Second one is just become an Airbnb manager. Management. You just manage the property and you get a percentage. So typically we're getting 20% to 30% management fee to manage properties for owners. And this is negotiable. We've done deals where the owner got the first 2K and then anything over that was, I get 80 and then he gets 20, right? So whatever, it's all negotiable, like whatever, that's why you want to run the numbers and see how much they can make a month. And then you, once you know how much can come in a month, you can negotiate with the homeowner, right? If you see like a profit of 10,000 a month, guess what? I'll give the owner the first 5,000. Anything over that, I want 90% or whatever you negotiate with the homeowner, right? And but typically we're getting 20% to 30% of the revenue. So let's say 5,000 a month comes in, and I got 25% fee. So we're making 1,250 a month. That is so one deal bringing in 1,250 a month times 12, you got 15 grand a month in 15 grand a year in cash flow. So if you just pick up 10 of those, you got 150 over 150,000 a year in profit, right? So the obstacle with the management is the major obstacle is going to be furniture costs, right? Because the owner is got the property for rent, they want 2,000 a month, and so now they got to pay 6, 7, 8,000 in furniture costs to furnish the whole place, and they don't get a security deposit, right? So in scenarios where the deal looks really, really good, I'll pay for the furniture for the owner. So, but I would ask for, so if I pay for the furniture, if the owner can pay for it, great, that's what we want. We want to try to get the owner to pay for it if they can. We'll show them the numbers and say, hey, you're going to end up making, maybe you're going to end up making 2,000 more a month in cash flow than a normal rental. So we show them the numbers first. We try to get them, pay for the furniture. If they absolutely don't have the money, they can't do it. They want to do it, but they don't have the money for furniture. We'll pay up front, but we would ask for it back first reservation. So first reservations, we get the furniture money back. So if I paid, if I invested 5,000 in the furniture costs, the first 5,000 coming in, I get paid, right? Not the owner. And then we also ask for a 12-month agreement if we're investing, right? Because if I'm investing, if I'm putting money in, I want a 12-month agreement with the owner. Because most homeowners are going to want to do month to month to see how it works out first, right? And but if you're investing money, you should have them sign at least a 12-month agreement, right? So deals make sense. Like one deal we did in Des Plaines, we invested half of the furniture cost. So you don't have to pay, it's whatever you negotiate. It can be 50-50 with the owner. I'll pay for half, you pay for half. Or let's say the owner only needs 2,000, right? So just know that all that's negotiable. You don't have to pay for everything up front. Just negotiate it with the owner, right? I have one where I split the costs with an owner. We split it 50-50, and then the property is now making like in the summertime we're making like close to $3,000 a month in cash flow just from my management fee, and then the owner is making like 7,000 a month, right? So it's well worth it to invest if it makes sense, right? So become an Airbnb manager, and you just need a team, right? Like, so this is a team of cleaners, a team of handyman that will repair things quickly and are available. And you can find these on TaskRabbit. It's a nationwide app for cleaners, for handyman. And what's cool is that they have reviews already. They're rated. Three, you need pricing softwares. So we use pricing softwares. There's a lot of companies out there, but we use Price Labs. It changes the price every night. This is super important. Some properties, if you're just setting the same base price every night, you're going to lose a ton of money. You want a software that mimics the hotels and ups the price on high demand days and lowers the price. We have properties in the winter make like $1,000 a month, and then that same property in summer makes over 10,000. That's because we change the price every single day, right? And then we use Hospitable for AI technology to communicate. So it's like communication with the guest. And I'm not going to go into that. There's tons of training you can find online on this guy. And then 5, we have VAs that they, a lot of questions the AI can't answer, so the VAs are monitoring it. And they come from you can find VAs on Upwork.com. Billions of VAs looking for work on Upwork. So a lot of people looking for work there. So these are the tools that we use, and there's a lot of tips and tricks of Airbnb that you like. For example, we every day we change the price. Every day is a different price, and every day the prices change. So you should be doing it every day for your every Airbnb you have. You should also be changing the pictures all the time. The profile pictures. If one's not working well, you swap it out. You should also be changing description of the Airbnb every day, because when you're always changing, editing the profile, Airbnb pushes you up top. Like, hey, this guy's active, he's editing his profile all the time, and it pushes you in the search rankings to be higher. Same thing with editing the price every day as well. It pushes you in the search rankings to be higher. So that's kind of our quick overview of our system. If you guys have any questions, just reach out. This is my number, my email. Reach out to me if you have any questions at all. Today we're going to get into biblical teaching on success with your business. So every time after the training, we're going to get into some Bible training on how to have a successful business, how to be successful in your business, what the Bible says, right? So we're going to go to leadership principles in the Bible. In 1 Samuel 19:2-3, it was talking about Jonathan, the King Saul's son named Jonathan, and David, how they became really close friends. So the Saul was trying to kill King David, and the son was warning David of what's going on, right? So it says, and warned him, my father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. Go into hiding and stay there. I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are, and I'll speak to him about you, and I will tell what I find out. So, a friend indeed. So, do you have friends in your business, friends that you can trust, friends in your personal life? Everything you do, you should have close friends, right? No leader succeeds on his own. You need people. You need people around you. You can't do everything on your own, right? And I was a person that always tried to do everything on my own. And now I'm like letting things go, outsourcing, hiring, training people. So the Bible says David needed Jonathan as a friend to help him. In the dark days, he fled to escape the threats of King Saul. So David was hiding from Saul, even though David could have killed King Saul multiple times, he didn't. And Jonathan, King Saul's son, was helping him. So you wouldn't think that, Jonathan, being the son of the king, would help David flee from him, right? So David turned to his friend for strength and encouragement. And that's what we need. We need friends strength and encouragement. And we need friends that are godly friends that have wisdom that God, will bring into your life godly wisdom that you need. Like, hey, I'm struggling in this part of my business. I don't know what to do. And boom, they have advice for you, wisdom that is that's godly wisdom, right? That's used to help build you up and encourage you, and strengthen you. At greatest to himself, Jonathan was hoping to pacify his father and reconcile the king to his friend, and he spoke well of David. So Jonathan was trying to mend the relationship between them. And for a short while, Saul relented, promising that David would not die by his hand. So soon Saul's old animosities reasserted themselves. Jonathan once again risked his life to help his dear friend. And Jonathan remained faithful to his comrade until the very end of his life. Do you have someone who strengthens your hand in God? Do you have friends that are going after God? Do you have other people surrounded around you that are chasing God, right? It's like, if all your friends are not chasing God, they're trying to take you away from God. Like, hey, let's go to the strip club, right? Let's go to, and that was me. Right? I had all my friends were the same. We strip clubs, nightclubs, go out drinking, go out partying, and that's what I would do before I was, surrendering my life, right? So, you want friends that you're surrounded with that are going after God in your business, going after God in your personal life, helping you with advice in your marriage, with your advice with your children, advice with everything, right? So find friends that strengthen your hand in God, that build your relationship with Him. All leaders need loyal friends who can help them to preserve through the tough times. So all leaders need friends that are loyal, that in the tough times they're there to help them, build them up, and you got to find out who are your friends that strengthen your hand in God. If you have none, where can you find these friends? So get in a church, right? Like people that are chasing after God's heart are in the church. You need to find a church, get into a small group, connect. Don't just go on Sunday and then that's it, but connect with people. Actually make an intentional effort to learn about people, to connect, to grow in people. Make it intentional to become friends with people, right? Because you need friends that are going after God, that are surrendered to God, that are going after Him. And guess what? Once you surround yourself with people like that, you're going to be going after God more, right? You're going to be chasing God more. You got to look at it as like, everyone around you should be going after the same thing, right? So if you have none, you can find these friends, find them in church. John 13:34. Jesus said to his followers, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You are also are to love one another." So he's talking to his disciples. He was talking to his followers. Hey, love one another. Give your life to one another. Surrender your life to one another. So find a church, get into a church, and connect and grow and make it intentional that, hey, I'm looking for companionship. I'm looking for friendship that we can grow together, right? That we can do life together, and then that we can go after God together, right? And when I'm doing bad and I'm doing something wrong, you're able to lean on your friend, and he tells you the truth. Hey, what do why are you going? What are you doing here? This doesn't make sense, right? So I'm gonna end here and in prayer. So I want to thank God for all His blessings. Thank God for just His wisdom from the Bible. Thank God just for giving us strategies that we can use in our business, that we don't have to have a lot of funds, that we don't have to have perfect credit, we don't have to have a lot of cash in the bank. So we just thank God for all His wisdom and knowledge, just providing us Facebook, that we can communicate with each other, that we can be a blessing. So we just ask God for His favor, His blessing, His presence to come. We come on here mainly for real estate, for business. So we ask that you come into our businesses, into our real estate investing businesses, and just put your favor and your blessings on our businesses so that we can use our finances to be free, have that freedom from being able to do what we want, hang out with our families more, hang out with our children more, hang out with our friends more, have that freedom from bondage of being in debt, that freedom from bondage of having to work somewhere that we don't want to be, having that freedom to be able to be a blessing to everyone around us. So we just ask that in Jesus' name for all of our businesses, for all of our companies, for all of our finances. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless. We'll be back here live next week, and I hope we got a lot today.